Welcome to the Student Debt Week of Action. We're delighted you are able to join us for a week of grassroots advocacy on an issue of paramount personal importance to so many of our members, student loan debt relief. Two important things to know about student debt loan relief. First, it's an extremely important issue. According to a 2020 survey conducted by the ABA Young Lawyers Division, the average debt for law school graduates has risen to more than $150,000. That is a staggering amount to owe, and it affects new lawyers in their daily lives in both personal and professional ways, and ultimately it adversely impacts our economy. Second, your advocacy on this issue this week is especially timely. The ABA has actively lobbied for years to reduce the impact of law school debt, but the pandemic has brought this issue into stark relief. Both the administration and Congress are wrestling with finding solutions and taking concrete steps right now to mitigate the problem. President Biden has extended a moratorium on repayment of student loans and collection of debts in arrears until January 31st, 2022. That's great news. In the meantime, the administration is exploring what else it can do by executive action. But members of Congress have also been busy and are seeking legislative solutions, including proposing some debt forgiveness and enacting more rules for those who seek to discharge their student debt through the bankruptcy process. So what does that tell us? Now is the very best time for our voices to be heard, to keep our government focused on the problem, and for you to advocate for solutions. This is also a special week because you are part of something unique. We are breaking new ground with this event. This is the first time we are holding a second separate ABA Day event in 1 year. We have coordinated the timing of our student debt advocacy with the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Coalition. We are working with other professional associations, such as the American Psychological Association, the American Institute of Architects, whose members face the same student loan challenges our members do. And finally, and most importantly, we have also listened to you. We have pivoted from long Zoom sessions and scheduled an entire week of digital action with very short program segments each day. Each of them will be broadcast on ambar.org/debt forgiveness, and that's with a 4, across our social media channels. We're going to be on Twitter. We're going to be on Instagram and LinkedIn. And best of all, we've made it even easier for you to join the conversation. Our digital experts will explain how a bit later. We're going to be posting content throughout the week to help you hone your messaging for your virtual meetings with your members of Congress, with their staff members, and for your digital advocacy. I hope you will tune in for the presentations during the week by our special guests, and we have some wonderful special guests from both sides of the aisle. They include Senators Cornyn, Senator Durbin, Senator Schumer, and Senator Warren, leaders in Congress and strong advocates on this issue. Again, thank you for joining us for this exciting week of action. And now, I want to turn the program over to our ABA President, Reggie Turner. President Turner, talk to us.
I join Bill in thanking each of you for participating in this virtual grassroots advocacy event. Student loan debt relief is a critical issue for our members and is a top priority for the American Bar Association. Student Debt Week of Action is important for one simple reason: your voices make a difference. It matters when you tell your members of Congress your personal story. It matters when you explain how their support can make a difference in the lives of so many of their constituents. And it most definitely matters when you urge your congressional members to take action and hold them accountable on Election Day. And make no mistake, we have recent proof that your voices matter. During ABA Day this past April, we advocated for increased funding for the Legal Services Corporation and for enhanced judicial security legislation. As a result, judicial security legislation has now been introduced in both chambers of Congress. And the Legal Services Corporation received an increase of $25 million over the prior year, with even further increases being considered for next year. Bill, thank you for your superb leadership and commitment to providing innovative and creative programming for this virtual 2021 ABA Day. You put together a team of dedicated volunteers who have helped to make this event possible. They include our terrific ABA Day Planning Committee and our state captains who rally the lawyers in their states to advocate for issues our legal profession cares about deeply. I also want to thank our Young Lawyers Division and Law Student Division for their advocacy for solutions to the student loan crisis. And finally, let me thank the other professional organizations that are joining us to magnify all our voices on Capitol Hill about the importance of student debt relief. Once again, thanks to all of you for participating in this important week of advocacy. I have no doubt that collectively, we will succeed in convincing Congress and the administration that now is the time to act. Now is the time for concrete solutions. Have a successful and safe day.
Thank you, Reggie, for having the Young Lawyers Division represented as part of this week-long event. My name is Choi Portis, and I am the chair of the YLD. A recent analysis shows the average debt of a law school graduate is around $145,000. In other words, in 2020, among new and young lawyers we surveyed, more than 75% of respondents had at least $100,000 in student loans at graduation. Over half had more than $150,000, and more than one of every four had over $200,000 in debt. Over 85% of the lawyers had more than $80,000 in student loans at graduation. These figures illustrate that student loan debt is a barrier into the profession that nearly every law school graduate is forced to deal with. Furthermore, the phenomenon may be another consequence of the long-standing bimodal distribution of lawyers' starting salaries, where new lawyers who don't work at large high-paying firms, which is most of the new lawyer population, start with salaries less than $75,000 a year, and they may be less likely to pay down their debt. Student loans have a sizable impact on life events for young lawyers today. These impacts include deeply personal decisions like their ability to start a family. Based on our 2020 ABA YLD student debt survey, about half chose to postpone or not have children at all. A quarter postponed getting married. It also extends to their ability to make purchasing decisions that contribute to the economy. More than 50% decided to postpone or choose not to take a vacation, buy a house, or buy a car. Consider also the built-in 3-year delay for many of these individuals since becoming a lawyer. Because it typically requires obtaining a 3-year graduate degree. Just to provide a personal story about student debt, I postponed a lot of things for a couple years. Taking any type of vacations that I wanted to take, and just putting aside buying a house because I had probably a little over $200,000 in debt myself when I graduated from law school. It's definitely an issue and something that needs to be addressed on a national scale, because this is something that definitely impacts the financial ability and the financial and even the mental and physical well-being of young lawyers. So now on to Bray Connor, the speaker of the YLD.
Student loan debt has a direct and sizable impact in the life of young lawyers. And we see the direct impact of this student loan debt in our day-to-day lives, our bigger purchases decisions, and also lifetime decisions. According to the 2020 ABA YLD survey on this topic, nearly half of young lawyers stated that they didn't feel that right now was the right time to start a family because of student loan debt. And also nearly a quarter of young lawyers stated that they didn't even feel that it was the right time for them to meet there and have a marriage or have a spouse because of student loan debt. When we're thinking about big ticket items like a vacation, buying a house, buying a car, Nearly 50% of young lawyers stated that right now they couldn't do any of those things because of student loan debt. I know firsthand the impact of student loan debt. As a public interest attorney, even though you go to law school and you're paying a hefty ticket in order to get your legal education, on the other side, there's a promise that if you do public interest work for 10 years, that hopefully you will have your loans forgiven. For most public interest, public service attorneys, that's not necessarily the case. And it definitely directly impacts all of the decisions that you make for at least a decade. And for most of us, more. Most people I know who are even thinking about a public interest loan forgiveness program or anything like that are not able to pay off their or even get close to their 10-year loan forgiveness within the actual 10 years. So for most people, including myself, who are in that situation, there are a number of years where all of the payments didn't count. It has nothing to do with whether or not I actually paid, but really because of how the program is set up. It's impacted my decisions about where I work, where I live, and what a family and life look like for me moving forward. So it's important for us as young lawyers to think about what this means for us, our future, and for the future of young lawyers moving forward.